Joining me to take a closer look as to what could be next is Curtis Fallgatter, a former federal prosecutor now practicing law with his own firm. Good morning. So basically, the court's ruling is that the prosecutor who brought this case was bound by his predecessor's agreement not to go ahead and charge Cosby. But that promise, or prosecute Cosby, but that promise was never put in writing. Four Supreme Court justices basically formed the majority that ruled in Cosby's favor, while three others dissented in whole or in part. Could prosecutors go back and ask the court to revisit this case?
They always can do that, but we're dealing with a majority opinion that's 79 pages long, very well reasoned, so it's highly unlikely that the Supreme Court would revisit that. They've put a lot of time and effort into it.
So the decision was never put in writing. How important is that little detail?
Not really, and of course it was actually put in writing in two ways. One was a press release issued by the former district attorney, who specifically told the whole world that he wasn't going to prosecute because he wanted Cosby to be required to testify in the civil trial. And then he also did that in an email, a very detailed email to the successor prosecutor, and said, look, I spoke for the Commonwealth, which what Pennsylvania calls itself, and we granted him basically immunity. And of course, prosecutors don't have to put things in writing. They have to keep their word, whether it's in writing or oral. And the oral agreement was with Cosby's attorneys and her attorneys to not prosecute him so he could be called upon to testify. He testified in 4 depositions, and the result of which was, of course, a benefit for her. She got over $3 million in settlement. So that was a deal they struck.
He was the first celebrity to be convicted in the, what they now call the Me Too era.
Yes.
This doesn't really do anything to change the facts of the case.
No, it's all out there. And of course, as you know, there are multiple accusers. I think they claim 60 or more. So all those facts have been published. They were published in the civil case and, of course, again, in the criminal case. So that's all now public record.
Now, when you and I were chatting about this yesterday, you brought something to my attention. In the first trial, which ended in a mistrial, the judge allowed one additional victim to testify who was not charged. And in the second case, there were 5 additional victims who were not charged that were allowed to testify. How does that come into play?
Well, it was a little peculiar because the judge is supposed to make a determination whether it's fair to allow what they call prior bad acts, prior incidents like that. And in the first trial, the judge said, no, it's only fair to allow 1. Because of the mistrial, the judge changed his mind. It looks a little suspicious, frankly, and allowed 5. And what's particularly unusual about it is the accusations by this lady were 17 years old, and the other lady's accusations were anywhere from 15 to 22 years prior to that. You're talking 30 to 40 years earlier. So changing that, of course, made it far more difficult for Mr. Cosby to have a successful result when now there are 6 women claiming that he had misconduct with them.
Now, there are a lot of people who are concerned how this may affect women who've been the victims of sexual abuse and whether or not they're going to come forward. In fact, Christian Nunes, who's the president of the National Organization for Women, basically said in a news release that as a result of a technicality, today the judicial system in America failed survivors again. Do you worry that this will deter survivors to come forward?
Shouldn't deter them at all. First, it's not a technicality. We're talking about a constitutional right, 5th Amendment, due process. That's not a technicality. That's fundamental constitutional rights. Second of all, that's what she bargained for. If there's a lady out there that wants to make an accusation and would rather collect $3 million than a criminal prosecution, they have every right to do so. And if they don't want the money and want a prosecution, they have every right to ask for that. She struck that deal.
There's the bottom line there. But again, if you're the victim of sexual abuse, definitely speak out.
Absolutely, certainly.
Curtis Fallgatter, thank you very much.